Hi, everyone. Yeah, welcome to the town hall. So this is really just going to be kind of a free-form discussion, and we'll be taking questions on the X platform. So if you saw my post or the America PAC post, you can reply to my post on the X platform, and I'll do my best to answer as many questions as possible. And hopefully this is you find this useful and interesting. We certainly are at, I think, an incredibly interesting, exciting point in history. There's, I'm not sure I'd actually want to be at any other point. I mean, I think we're at the most exciting point, and I personally, whatever happens, it's not boring. That's for sure. If this was a show, the ratings on the show would be incredible. There's always like a lot of talk of this problem and that problem and whatnot, but I think it's possible for us to have an exciting, inspiring future that is better than the past and something that everyone can look forward to. Obviously, I strongly believe that President Trump is the path to an exciting, inspiring future, and I hope you agree and that you will obviously vote in favor of him, and also get your friends, family, acquaintances, and everyone you meet to do the same. I'm excited about the potential for the sort of amusingly named. I think it's good to have a sense of humor. Department of Government Efficiency, because I think that there's just a lot that can be done that would unblock progress and ensure that your tax dollars are spent wisely, or not as certainly more wisely than they are today by a long shot. Your hard-earned tax dollars, you deserve to have them spent well. And I think with deregulation, we can unlock a lot of progress, and we can do great things in America, as opposed to almost every project being illegal because of a morass of regulation. So, and some of the stuff actually costs lives, of course. Like if there's a life-saving drug, and there are many actually, and that are going through approval at, say, the FDA, if we can speed that process up, and get those life-saving drugs to people sooner, then that will be lives saved and lives improved. That's one example of things. That's, I think, a really big deal. I still do believe in regulation, just sensible regulation, kind of like the way you have referees on a sports field. If you're in a pro sports game, you want some referees that makes the game better, but you don't want to have so many referees on the field that the players are bumping into them, and that makes the game bad. So I think we've kind of overcorrected on the regulatory front for many years now, and we just need to kind of right-size the regulatory situation, and I think people will be amazed at how much more progress can be made. So with that, and I guess what I should perhaps also just reiterate the key values of the America PAC. It's really pretty simple stuff that I think is fundamental to what has made America great, and what, if upheld, will make America even greater. So we want to remain the land of freedom and opportunity, and we want people to be safe, like not to be able to walk the streets and not fear for their lives, or fear that they'll be robbed. So some very basic things that need to be done are that we need to have obviously secure borders. You're not a country if you don't have secure borders. We need safe cities. We want to support the Constitution, especially the right to free speech, because in the absence of free speech, you cannot have a real democracy. If people don't know what's going on, how can they make an informed vote? So that's why I say, and probably others have said this maybe the same exact words before, that free speech is the bedrock of democracy. You can't have one without the other. So we need to have sensible spending. That's very important. When you look at how much the federal government is spending, it's bankrupting the country. So this can't continue, or we're just bankrupting us. Just like if you're a person who spends too much, and you rack up credit card bills that can't be paid, then it's not going to be a good ending. So we have to have sensible spending. As we get the spending under control, that will dramatically affect inflation, because what causes inflation is government overspending. It increases the money supply, which then increases the price of goods. We obviously want to have both the reality and the perception of a fair legal system. Now, I do think in America, we actually do have a great legal system. I have a lot of respect for the American legal system, and I wouldn't want any other one. But we want to be self-critical and say, okay, never obviously assume that is perfect, but that we need to be self-critical and fix elements of the legal system that are broken. We don't have lawfare, where people are prosecuted for political reasons, as has happened with President Trump. And then I'm a big believer in the Second Amendment, that people have a right to self-protection. So, in fact, I think if you don't have the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, the First Amendment is meaningless, because the government can just take over any time they want, and you can't do anything about it. And that's what happened recently in Venezuela, where the people don't have guns anymore, because when Chavez came to power, one of the first things he did was take away people's guns for their own safety, of course. But then but that made all future elections meaningless. And when they faked elections in Venezuela, the people protested and got shot, and they continued. So now they're stuck. So it's really it's fundamental, and there really is. The founders of our great country had tremendous wisdom in creating the Constitution and in the amendments that were added, and they were added for a very good reason. The First Amendment, free speech, was added because people came from countries where if they spoke their mind, they would be arrested or shot. And the Second Amendment was so that people could defend themselves against the government, because one of the ways, a key way that the people were oppressed in the countries that people came from was because the government had all the guns and the people didn't. That's why they put the Second Amendment in there. It's a super big deal. I think these are just fundamental core values for America. I don't think they're, in my opinion, not right-wing or frankly left-wing or anything. They're just basic things that need to be in place for America to remain great and become greater. So with that, we jump into questions. Yeah.
All right, my pleasure to bring up the first question. We've got Daryl joining us. Daryl, welcome to the call. You are live with Mr. Elon Musk. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Musk, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Hey, this is a real honor and pleasure. I really respect what you guys are doing. I did have a question about the fact I've heard Trump talk about bringing more manufacturing home, which I think is absolutely necessary. But I question the ability to do so, being that the U.S. dollar is the reserve currency of the world. And essentially, that requires, to preserve that privilege, that requires us to, as a nation, to kind of export most of our manufacturing abroad to service the dollar debt that is also abroad, the euro dollar. So I wondered what your thoughts on that was, and how that might be kind of antithetical to bringing manufacturing home and preserving the dollar as the reserve currency of the nation or of the world. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I think what President Trump is saying, and obviously I agree with it, is that we should do more manufacturing in the U.S. Now we're obviously not going to do all the manufacturing, but we've over time done less manufacturing than we should, and we've moved a lot of manufacturing out of the country, more than we should move out of the country. So we still obviously have a global economy, and there's the economics of comparative advantage where some countries are really good at making a particular product, or providing a particular service, and global trade actually leads to global prosperity. So, but I just think we just need to shift the needle more towards manufacturing domestically. Yeah, I think it's just a sensible thing to do, and we are too dependent on other countries, I think. So now I'm a big manufacturing guy. Like I love manufacturing. I love being on the shop floor. I love making things. I've always loved making things since I was a kid. So to me, manufacturing is awesome. And then for some weird reason, like, manufacturing, I think, sort of became uncool, at least among these sort of like in the elite universities or something. I don't know, but to me, manufacturing is super cool, and I have tremendous respect for people who build things, who build products, provide services, do an honest day's work, and build products and services that other people enjoy and bring them happiness. That's a great thing, and we should do more of that in America. Now, one of the things that does hold us back in America is that just permitting. I mean, I hate to harp on this because honestly, I'm like, I have like permitting PTSD, like next level, because I've gone through so many. I've had to fight permitting so many times, and expend so much mental energy, and my teams had to expend so much mental energy just trying to build things just trying to build factories and get things done. It's crazy. So I mean, I think people on a day-to-day level experience this when they try to get a permit to like remodel the kitchen or add a guest room or do basic stuff around the house. Now imagine that's like 1,000 times worse if you're trying to build a factory. And that's so a big part of it is like if you have to spend years getting permits, just to do something productive, then that's going to send people out of the country to say like, well, hell, I mean, if you can build a factory faster than you can get a permit to build a factory in the U.S., if you can build a factory in another country faster than you can get a permit to build one in the U.S., that's messed up. So, I think that's just having sensible regulations, not having 27 different agencies, not requiring permission from so many different agencies that all have to meet and confer with each other, and inevitably with this with these like environmental approvals, we get a finding of no significant impact, but it takes like sometimes 2 or 3 years. So I think that would be really helpful, and I think we can get that accomplished in a Trump presidency.
All right, our next question comes from Donna. Hi, Donna, you're live. Go ahead with your question now. Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, Donna, go ahead.
Hi, Donna.
Yeah, okay, so this might be a dumb question. Thank you for having me. But anyways, I don't know if this is a dumb question, but my question is, when Donald Trump becomes the president, do you think it's possible for him to fire the 87,000 IRS agents? I'm sorry, I'm nervous. And hire
no worries.
87. and hire 87,000 ICE agents.
Yes, I think so. Now, I think our priorities are clearly misplaced here, where hiring vast numbers of people to audit and chase after Americans for taxes while failing to hire critical personnel to secure our border makes no sense at all. It's totally backwards. So I agree with you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we've got Jacob on the line with us. Jacob, you are live with Elon Musk. What is your question?
Hello, Mr. Musk. I had a question for you.
Sure.
How is it legal for Kamala Harris and almost all the other politicians to bend the 10 amendments?
Well, I think they're really if there's a Democratic presidency and the House and Senate go Democratic, then you can start passing laws that undermine the Constitution and the amendments, and just start eroding it. Obviously, if you get enough states involved, if you get 36 states, you can now actually change the Constitution itself. So no, I think that would be my worst nightmare, frankly. But I think that's unlikely. But even in the administration, even if somebody wins the executive branch, the executive branch can decide what it wants to prosecute, what it wants to enforce. So you don't even necessarily need to change laws, because you could simply selectively enforce them. We've seen that obviously with a lot of the sort of Soros DAs that have been elected in some of our biggest cities, where they just, the laws are on the books, they just choose not to enforce them. So I guess what I'm trying to be to some degree is like the anti-Soros, which is like, I believe in the rule of law. I believe that we need to protect our citizens. I believe that we should, if somebody's a repeat violent offender, that they need to be incarcerated. We need to have empathy for the victims of criminals, not just criminals themselves. Obviously, I'm certainly in favor of, if it's possible to reform someone who has violent tendencies, that's great. But if it's not, you have to recognize that, and you can't allow them to prey upon innocent people.
Next up, we've got a question from Bob. Bob, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hello, Elon.
Hi.
I didn't know I was going to talk live. I had a question that's not political. Do you have a childhood story that inspired you to study rocketry?
Well,
did you ever build little rockets?
Yeah, I did actually build rockets as a kid. Yeah. So I guess I was always interested in technology. So I did grow up in sort of an engineering household, which was helpful. My dad has a lot of issues, but he is a brilliant engineer and artist, and so I did learn a lot. And I did actually make rockets, including mixing the powder and everything. So they weren't Estes rockets in South Africa. So you have to make the solid rocket fuel yourself from, the raw ingredients. Yeah.
From those cap guns, those little red strips. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think I was also inspired by science fiction, by watching Star Trek. Star Wars was the first movie I ever saw in a movie theater when I was about 6 years old, I think. And so I've been interested in space since I was a kid. I didn't ever think I would actually be involved in building rockets. I thought that would be an impossible thing that only governments could do. So if you'd asked me at the time, I would have thought there's no chance of that. But it has actually turned out thanks to this great country that we're in, the land, America is still a land of opportunity, and I couldn't have done it anywhere else. And I just want to make sure that America remains a land of opportunity, so others can also do great things, and one of the things I really like about Americans in general is that we applaud the success of others. We are happy for them for their success, and in a lot of other countries that's not the case. That they tend to frown upon or success, but I think we always want to be the country that is glad for people's success, and make sure that there's an opportunity for anyone who's hardworking and talented to get ahead.
Moving on, we got a question from DJ. Hi, DJ. You are live with Elon Musk. What is your question?
Hi, Elon. Thanks for taking my question. This is not a political question, but I wanted to first thank you for your contributions and the energy that you've put towards making our country a better place. I have a question. With the power and influence that you have, I'm just wondering, is it something that you would be interested in doing something to change the course of the sex trafficking that is violating children throughout our country?
Well, yeah, I certainly think that from a law enforcement standpoint, priority number one always has to be kids. Kids can't protect themselves, so they need adults to ensure that they are protected. So, my opinion is law enforcement at every level should always prioritize the safety of children. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next caller is Christopher, who joins us. Hi, Chris. You are live on the call with Elon Musk. What's on your mind?
Hi. Thank you. First off, Elon, congratulations for the successful SpaceX launch and return. One of the most impressive things the world has ever seen. My question is, though...
Great team at SpaceX.
Yes, absolutely. My question is, though, the U.S. has currently, depending on where you look, $35+ trillion in debt. If and when Donald Trump is elected and the Government Efficiency Commission is enacted, what is your first steps in tackling the nation's debt?
Well, I think, assuming President Trump, definitely praying for a victory here, and I think it's going to happen, but we don't want to be complacent. But I think even once the election takes place, I think we'll immediately begin looking at where to take the most immediate action. Now, the reality is that there is so much government waste that it's kind of like being in a room full of targets. Like you can't miss. You fire in any direction, you're going to hit a target. So, but overall, we just, as a country, obviously, we need to live within our means, and so that means just looking at every line item, every expense, and saying, is this necessary at all? First of all, and then how do we get better? If it is to some degree necessary, then how do we get much better value for money? And just going through that one item at a time, no exceptions, no special cases. My opinion is also we need to simplify the tax law. I mean, there's way too many. It's incredibly complex. There are too many deductions, incentives, etc. It's too complicated for anyone to understand. And then we end up spending, companies and people end up spending a bunch of money on, complex accounting and legal stuff, and that we should just have a much simpler tax code, and that's just easier to understand. But at the same time, most importantly, we have to reduce spending to live within our means. That necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
Next up, we have a question from Amanda. Amanda, you are live with Elon Musk. What is your question?
Thanks so much. I'm here with my son, Andrew, and we have a rather lighthearted question. Thanks so much. We're huge fans. Can astronauts vote from space, he wants to know?
I believe they can.
Oh.
Yeah. Provided they're American astronauts. Depends on the election.
Yeah.
But one thing I should say with regard to the Department of Government Efficiency is that we're going to be super transparent about everything we do. So, it's going to be like basically a nonstop live stream of this is what we're doing. This is, why we're doing it. Kind of, so it's like so people can like tune in and see real time what's happening. We'll post frequent updates throughout the day. This is what we're doing. Now, we're definitely going to get some sort of antibody. Probably a big antibody reaction from a lot of sides. But I'm just going to be like, look, assuming that President Trump is supportive, that like everyone's taking a haircut here because America's got to live within its means, and we can't be a wastrel. We can't be, we need to be like we need to live honestly. Really, this is what it amounts to, and not just spend. We can't spend so much money and still we can't spend it so poorly. So, but I think it's very important to be transparent and to also explain why things are being done, and then people can object, and this obviously won't be perfect. Mistakes will be made, and then what matters is really correcting fast for those mistakes. But it's not going to be like some sort of backroom secret thing. It'll be, like as transparent as possible.
Thank you very much. Next, well, we've got John with a question for you, sir.
John?
John, you're live on the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hey, Elon, this is awesome. Pleasure to speak with you. I certainly look up to you a lot. So what is the number one thing holding us back as a human civilization from really taking that next step? What's the main thing that's just getting in our way?
By next step, do you mean like going to the moon or Mars, or?
Yeah, I mean that. I mean, just like the. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like everybody knows that there's so much more we could do. I mean, especially you've shown us what we really can do. I mean, what NASA's been trying to do for years and years, and you just came in and just accomplished it. Yeah.
Well, I do think that we have far too much regulation, far too many government agencies. Like last time I checked, we had something like 450 federal government agencies, not counting stuff at the state level, and we're creating new agencies at a rate of about 2 per year. So, there's almost twice as many agencies as there are years that America has existed. So, this is just causing what I call like slow strangulation by overregulation, and we've got to reverse it. Historically, the forcing function for getting rid of bad laws and regulations has been war. Now, we want to fix this without war. So that just requires a concerted effort to do that, and I think people will be astonished by how much more we get done if we're not just tied up in massive amounts of red tape. So yeah, I think it's a really big deal. Yeah.
Our next question is from Colleen. Colleen, you are live with Elon Musk. What is your question?
My question, Elon, is I understand that you want to invest in Pennsylvania, and I've seen some billboards. What type of investment opportunities are you looking for?
Well, there's my companies do a lot with Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company, Neuralink, X Corp, XAI. And I did, I lived in Pennsylvania for 3 years, going to school there in Philadelphia. So I'm a big fan of the state, and I think there's probably a lot that can and should be done in the state. I'm looking at a lot of different possibilities.
So next up, we've got a question from Davon. Davon, you are live with Elon Musk. Go ahead with your question.
I just would like to know, how can the DOJ file charges in Virginia to allow illegal immigrants to vote in American elections? I don't think that's quite right.
Yeah, that seems crazy. I don't know what the DOJ priorities seem. They seem wrong, or if there is some reason for it, I'm not aware of what the good reason is. But it does seem crazy that the Federal Department of Justice is suing a number of states to keep voters on the roll who are known to be non-citizens. I think the reason they gave is they thought they're claiming it would create some sort of chaos before the election. But I'm like, what are you talking about? If someone's not eligible to vote, take them off the roll. It's that simple. What's hard about that? I think, in my opinion, the obvious strategy of the Democratic Party is to import as many voters as possible, and again, whether it's get them to vote illegally or legally, that I think this is they're just doing voter importation at a scale that is unprecedented, and I think the only thing one could argue is it intentional or unintentional, but the fact that they're doing this is a fact. It's backed up by the government's own statistics. You look at the growth in number of illegals in the swing states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, North Carolina, and basically every swing state has had triple-digit increases over the past 3 years in the number of illegals, according to the government's own data. This is data from a Democratic administration. Doesn't that seem weird? What's going on? And if for a lot of swing states the voting difference is only maybe 10,000-20,000 votes. So if you import 200,000 illegals and they're beholden to the Democratic Party that got them there with a bunch of handouts and also they want to bring in their friends and family and stuff, so they know the Democratic Party can help them. So basically, the Democratic Party is bringing in a bunch of people that are beholden to them in the swing states. This is just objectively what is happening, and I think this is why I think this could potentially be the last election, because if the Dems are able to bring in enough illegals and then get them to vote legally or illegally over the next 4 years, then they will swamp the difference in the swing states, and every swing state will go blue, and then we will just have a one-party state. We won't have real elections anymore, and that would mean the end of democracy. So I think this is a really big deal.
Thank you, Mr. Musk. Moving on to our next question, we've got Nicholas joining us. Nicholas, you are live on the call. What's your question?
Yeah, hi. I'm currently living with a spinal cord injury, And I just wanted to know, I've been following you with your Neuralink advancements. I wanted to know if under Trump, if you would get the same amount of funding to continue pursuing Neuralink and, medical technologies towards people with spinal cord injuries, because I feel a lot of us are affected in America, and it kind of stunts us in our growth as a nation. And if you're still interested in pursuing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So to be clear, Neuralink, which is my company that's working on sort of brain and spinal cord implants that can help solve, I think, ultimately almost any neurological disease basically any kind of brain or spine damage. I think ultimately can be solved with a Neuralink device. But we don't currently receive any government funding, so it's all private funding. But we are somewhat slowed down by the regulatory process. Like it's quite arduous just getting regulatory approval. And now I don't want to actually attack the individuals at the FDA who are working with us, because I think they're doing the best that they can within the system that they are forced to operate in. So they're doing their best, but nonetheless, it does slow us down. I think we should be able to go faster in the U.S. with advancing Neuralink technology and other technologies that are out there unrelated to my company. So that would be a really big deal. I mean, Neuralink, in order to move faster, actually, we're now, going to be doing patients in Canada and in England, and because things are just moving too slowly in the U.S. But that actually also slows it down, because we've got to do a lot of travel and stuff, and it's not easy. Dealing with all these other countries. So I think, I hate to keep hopping on this regulation thing, but it really is slowing down every country. Every company in the country. So, and there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of life-saving cures or things that would dramatically improve quality of life that are just slowly winding their way through the regulatory process. And then some of them get denied, even though they probably should be approved, because there's some risk of something bad happening. But I think as long as people are properly informed of the pros and the cons, the advantages and the risks of a given device or medication, then I think it should be up to the individual to decide what they want to do.
Moving on to our next question, we've got Jacob joining us. Hi, Jacob. You are live on the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, how you doing, Mr. Musk? It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to be speaking with you today. I was an American veteran. I served 5 years for Operation Iraqi Freedom. I believe that freedom of speech and the First Amendment is the most important to be protected, and that's why we developed the Second Amendment. That being said, could you please summarize for me what freedom in America means to you?
Yeah, so I think freedom actually broadly means that that you can do. I think ultimately you should be able to do anything that you want to do that does not affect the others. So like as long as you can, if you're not hurting others, you should be able to do whatever you want to do. And the government should not get in your life. So you should be able to do what you want to do, provided it does not cause harm to others. And government should really only get involved if somebody's taking action that would cause harm to others. Obviously freedom of speech, but just in general, we've got this massive body of laws and regulations, and every year there's a giant pile of additional laws and regulations that are created, and until and each one of them is like like a little string tying down the giant that is America. So, like any one regulation maybe is not that bad, but you've got millions of them. And then eventually the giant that is America cannot move unless we cut those strings.
Our next question, we've got John joining us. Hi, John. You are live with Elon Musk. What's on your mind?
Is this me, John Wilson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Mr. Musk, I got one question for you. The question is, when I was in 2016, I became a supporter of President Trump. I'm a Desert Storm veteran, and I had some teeth problem, and I was watching on TV these Hispanics and immigrants getting dental work done. And so I wrote the president, his administration, an email, and I asked him about it. The next day, the administration had called the Altoona PA VA, and got me into the dental clinic. But the question I have for you is, when and how did you end up supporting Mr. Trump? What made you support him? Because I know you didn't support him in 2016.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I really haven't been involved in politics until recently, like in any meaningful way. So, you know, I just sort of was living in California at the time, and like pretty much everyone around you is like a Democrat. Like it's like, at least at the time. I think these days there's a lot more Republicans, but you know, I really just wanted to build technology, you know, build cool, you know, great cars and rockets and, you know, internet, space internet, and you know, do useful things. I don't really want to be involved in politics, frankly. Like, you ask me if I want to be the president. Like, I don't want to be the president, and I prefer not to be involved in politics. I'd prefer to just, you know, build useful products and services that people love. That's what I enjoy doing. But I came to the conclusion that that we're really at a fork in the road of destiny of America and of the Western world and perhaps of civilization as a whole, because I just saw continued erosion of freedom of speech, attacks on the right to bear arms, you know, just generally attacks on the Constitution, you know, the sort of oppressive nature of the federal government getting worse every year, and you know, and then there's this whole crazy like open borders thing, which is just total madness. And then I was hearing one story after another of friends of mine who've been sort of violently assaulted and robbed, and you know, even and it's been getting like worse every year, like way worse every year. You know, my mom used to walk around the streets of New York a few years ago, but without fear of being assaulted, and now, you know, this year 3 of her friends have been assaulted, and nobody even got arrested, and now she'll only walk her dog within sight of, you know, of her apartment building, because there's a doorman there who can help her if something happens. And you know, I hear these stories from many people. Like there's hardly a downtown in America that's actually safe to walk in. And like, how can that be? We're the greatest country in the world. So, and I think unfortunately under the sort of a Kamala puppet regime, because I think it's not even worth attacking Kamala. She's just clearly just a puppet of the big government machine, and it's just going to get worse. So, I mean, if it gets worse from where it is today with open borders and crazy crime and government intrusion in everyone's lives and erosion of the free speech, like, well, then I think our republic is at risk. It's not. I don't even think of it as like a Democrat-Republican thing. It's just like, I think America is at stake in this election.
Next up, we've got a question from Tracy. Tracy, you are live with Elon Musk. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, Mr. Musk. It's an honor speaking with you. I wanted to start off by thanking you for all your commitment for championing free speech. I think it has really made an impact in terms of just online discourse and information exchange. My question to you is this. Given your track record and focus on continuous innovation, progress, and just your appreciation for the sheer rigor that's demanding of leadership, can you help us reconcile supporting a candidate who, irrespective of all his qualities and accomplishments, is at quite an advanced age and not unlike the current sitting president, and will most certainly face challenges in handling the pressures of what is arguably amongst the toughest jobs in the world? How do you address concerns about President Trump's advancing age? It's a factor that will only escalate with every passing year during his potential 4-year term.
That's a good point. No, obviously, people age differently, and some people age faster than others, and some people have declines in their physical and mental acuity that are faster than others. It's just kind of luck of the draw, I guess. But my interactions with President Trump have been incredibly good. He is very quick on his feet. He's funny, by the way. He's got a great sense of humor. He's quick-witted, and you look at how hard he's working on the campaign trail, doing multiple stops a day, he's just objectively got more stamina and a stronger constitution than Kamala, who's much younger than him and is apparently taking a few days break from the campaign, which is surprising. So I think it's different for different people, but I can assure you that and you really don't need to believe me. You can just watch him in the interviews. I believe he just did a 2 or 3 hour podcast with Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. He's going to ask tough, insightful questions, and it goes on for a long time. So you have to be quick. You have to be quick on your feet. You have to be able to answer. You have to be there, and you've got to have stamina. And I think we've seen that with the podcast that President Trump has been on. He has the constitution of an ox. Great genes, I guess. And I think we've also got a great vice president with J.D. Vance. J.D. is a smart, good guy. Actually reminds me of the people I went to college with, basically. Just a normal, smart, great guy. He's not beholden to anyone. He's not, he's a free man, and so is President Trump. He's not they're not puppets of the system, which is why the system hates them and wants them to die. So, so I feel good about this. Like I said, President Trump, strong as an ox, and despite his age, and we've got J.D. Vance, who's, if in a worst case scenario, would make a great president, in my opinion.
So next up, we've got Dennis with a question. Dennis, you are live with Elon Musk.
Hey.
What's your question, sir?
Thank you. Hi, Elon. How you doing, man?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Elon, just a quick question. I've been watching the internet quite extensively, jumping all over YouTube, and it's popped up a few places where I don't know if it's you for real or AI, if you would answer, that you've offered $100 for those of us supporting Trump. And oh, by the way, I've already cast my vote for President Trump. I want you to know that. You're paying $100. Yeah, you're paying $100 to us to sign a petition, and also anyone that we refer to sign the petition right, with the chance to win $1 million. Is there truth to that?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. In fact, we've already begun awarding the $1 million, and several people have received it. And then, yeah, to be clear, this is not a petition to vote for or register for anyone. it's really just a petition in support of the Constitution of the United States, and in particular, the freedom of speech and the right to bear arms. And so basically, it's like you get $100 for signing something you already believe in, and it's real. So, yeah, it's kind of like a no-brainer. It makes total sense. And then, and even if you have voted, you're still eligible.
All right, our next question comes from Mark. Mark, you are live with Elon Musk. What is your question, sir?
Good evening, sir. Thank you for taking my call, and just had a question about education for you. I want to know if President Trump were to win, how exactly can we fix a broken education system? How can we get kids to, when they graduate high school, to not think they have to go to college and to be able to get a great job? Utilizing technology now, I mean, you can get into it still, but most of the time you need a college degree to get anything good. I mean, we need to prove to these kids that are getting out of school that they can still be successful. What would be your plan to do that?
Sure. Well, to be clear, I don't have an answer for everything. So, but I'll do my best. I mean, I do think there's a big question mark around the federal Department of Education. That was only established in the I think early '80s or something like that. And the irony is that the school scores, like the educational scores, have gone downhill dramatically since the creation of the Department of Education, which doesn't make any sense. If you're going to create a department and spend a bunch of money, you should expect things to get better, not worse. Moreover, the Department of Education at the federal level has pushed all sorts of propaganda on kids that has nothing to do with useful skills. So there's like a lot of sort of, left-wing propaganda that's being foisted on kids that the federal money is contingent upon, and that needs to stop. So schools should be focused on teaching kids about the world and teaching them useful skills so that when they graduate, they can do something useful. That's the whole point. And that you want them to understand the world, be an informed voter, and have skills that they can immediately apply. I don't think going to four-year college is necessary to be successful. I think for a lot of people, it's actually going to make a lot more sense to learn a trade. Be an electrician, plumber, carpenter. I think those are. I have a lot of respect for anyone who just does an honest day's work and is useful to their fellow human beings. And a lot of times, kids will spend 4 years in college not learn anything useful and be saddled with a ton of debt. And what's the point of that? It doesn't make any sense.
So moving on to our next question, we've got Mauricio joining us. Mauricio, you're live. Go ahead with your question now, please.
Hello, Mr. Musk. First thing I want to do is thank you from the bottom of my heart for buying Twitter and turning it into X. Before you did that, I honestly felt like this country was lost because I thought that we had essentially lost our First Amendment. So first things first, I just wanted to thank you for that. But my question is related to X. Obviously, it's very important that the truth get out there. And I feel the one thing that, they use against President Trump, to try to get people to go against him are hoaxes. I feel like on my own account, I'm constantly trying to debunk hoaxes.
Yes, and they keep pushing a lot of the same hoaxes over and over again. Even though this is this really I find inexcusable for the Democratic Party to be pushing hoaxes that they know full well are false. Like the so-called fine people hoax, where they claim that Trump was somehow supporting Nazis at a rally, when if you actually listen to the speech, he condemns Nazis in the strongest possible terms. And they know that that's in the speech, and yet they still push the Trump loves Nazis thing. And then in the last several days, that they've been saying Trump is Hitler. I mean, Hitler was a warmonger who invaded lots of countries and committed genocide and did all sorts of insanely terrible things. Like Trump was president for 4 years. I don't recall any genocide. In fact, we didn't even have any wars. Like, I mean, he was good at avoiding war, and I think it's very important to have a strong president, because if you have a strong president, other countries are afraid to. They're like, well, don't want to mess with Trump, So that gives tough dictators out there real pause, because it's like if they're if the person representing us, because the president that's who's representing us. That's it's strong and intimidating. That's actually essential when they're facing tough people around the world. It's like impossible for anyone to be scared of Biden. I mean, that's just impossible. I mean, the guy can't climb a flight of stairs. On the other hand, President Trump got shot, and even after getting shot, even though there could have been other shooters, so it was dangerous, he stood up, with blood streaming down his face, saying, "Fight, fight, fight." It's like, let me tell you, if you're some evil dictator, you're looking at that, you're like, that is a tough son of a bitch. I'm not going to mess with him, So it's actually incredibly important to have a strong president in order to avoid war in the world.
Moving on to our next question, we've got Ryan joining us now. Ryan, you are live on the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Thank you so much for taking my question, Mr. Musk. I'm a 21-year-old quality inspector for an aerospace and defense company, and my question for you is, what advice would you give to a young person hoping to advance their career or even start their own manufacturing company?
Well, I think it's basically, if you think of a product or service that is not being done well, or where you think you could make a better product, like better mousetrap, then go for it. There's lots of products and services out there that could be better, and pick one that you feel like passionate about, and then go make the better mousetrap, go make the better product and service, and I think you'll find that if you make a genuinely better product, people will buy it.
Our next question comes from Alex. Alex, welcome to the call. You are live with Elon Musk. What's your question?
Hey, Elon. Pleasure to have me on, or awesome to have me on here. I was wondering, with debt spiraling in the U.S. since I've been a kid, just how is the Department of Government Efficiency going to help with that, and are we going to get to a point where we're going to pay down our debt at any point?
Yeah, I mean, to be totally frank, I would consider it a victory even to slow down the debt. I mean, if I really had the power, if I had my druthers, if I had full power to take action, I would balance the budget immediately. Say, listen, we're going to stop spending more than we bring in, and we've got to have at least a slight surplus to start paying down the debt, just like a citizen would have. If you're an individual and you're racking up crazy debt, well, obviously the thing to do is you got to reduce your spending, and you got to start paying down that debt. And same is true of a country. So that's what I'd like to do. Now, obviously, a lot of people, who are taking advantage of the government are going to be upset about that. So I probably need a lot of security. But it's got to be done. And if it's not done, we'll just go bankrupt, and already I believe just the interest payments on the debt, from what I was reading, are about 23% of all the tax revenue of the government, of the federal government. So it's like a quarter of the money being brought in for taxes. All it's doing is paying interest, and that number is growing every year. Eventually, we'll only have money to pay interest, and we won't have any money for essential services, and then that's when you're bankrupt. Like this is a crisis, but the media doesn't really talk about it for some reason. I remember growing up, and when I was younger, it was always a common topic of discussion that the government's spending too much and the deficit's rising. But now it's like, for some reason, not a big topic. But we're in a far worse situation than we've ever been in the past. It blows my mind that just the interest payments on our debt now exceed the Defense Department budget, which is the Defense Department has $1 trillion budget, and our annual interest payments on the debt, not paying down the debt, just the interest, is over $1 trillion a year. That's insane, and it's growing fast.
Moving on to our next question. We're joined now by Cindy. Hello, Cindy. Welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please. Hello, Cindy. Like we might have lost Cindy.
No, I'm here, sir. I apologize.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Elon. I have two things. One, I want to make a comment. Okay. I have a handicapped daughter. She wheelchair bound, 24/7 care. But when she sees you on TV, she just goes, ecstatic. She just thinks, that you're the greatest thing. So I just wanted to tell you that. But my question, and I'm going to try and put this, let me see. Okay, so a president can only have 2 terms.
Yes.
Okay, but a Senate or a congressman or a Superior Court judge can have a term until they die.
Yeah, that seems too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Why does that happen? And do you have an opinion on that? Because personally, my opinion is if a president can only have 2 terms, then they all should have 2 terms.
Well, I think I tend to agree with you that there should be term limits on probably all elected officials, and there should be some kind of limit on the judiciary as well. The path out of the Supreme Court shouldn't be a hearse. So there's I think the founders were very wise in creating the Constitution and the amendments, but they did not anticipate that people would live to extreme age, because back then nobody did. But now, we can keep someone alive even if they're non-compos mentis. So, but if they're not mentally astute and they have a job that requires being extremely mentally astute, that obviously doesn't work.
Looks like we've got a question here from Julie. Julie, you are live. Go ahead with your question from...
Hello. Hi,
yes,
Elon.
Julie, you're live.
Thank you so much for giving me a chance to talk to you. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your SpaceX coming back to the launch pad. That's an amazing technology you use. congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
also,
Thank you.
my question is probably, I don't know if it should be a question for you or it should be for Trump. My name is Julie and I'm an Indian. I'm an immigrant in the U.S., but I'm a U.S. citizen.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, we do have a lot of illegal immigrants here. And, I do go to New York a lot. I have business in New York, too. Before, when I go to New York, I'm never scared. I park my car in the garage. I walk as a free woman. Now, in the last 1 year, I'm scared. When I walk, at least 2-3 times I look around that I'm not getting mobbed, nobody's snatching me. It's a very bad scenario here. I would really want to know what our President Trump will do to all these illegal people, what he's going to do about them, how he's going to take them out, so we can have the great America back, a safe place.
Yeah. Well, the story that you're telling me is the story I'm hearing from everyone, which is that our cities have become dramatically less safe, not just perception of less safe, they're actually less safe. As I mentioned, my mom's friends this year just are getting assaulted on the streets, and no one even got arrested, by the way. So then whoever those people were doing it, they're now just going to keep doing it. So I think there needs to be we need to imprison people who are repeat violent offenders. There's no choice, or they will prey upon the public, and we have these unsafe cities. So that needs to be a priority of the Department of Justice and of the executive branch. And then obviously we need to have a secure border, because otherwise people can come across the border who, are bad people. I mean, I think frankly most people who come across the border are probably good people, but there's going to be some percentage that are not, and we need to stop that. There needs to be solid vetting of whoever comes into the country to make sure that they will be an asset to the country and not prey upon innocent people. So basically, security and safety. I mean, that's a base level thing. If you don't have security and safety, you don't have anything. And I feel like that's just getting worse every year. I feel like everyone's telling me, and my direct observation is it's getting worse every year. So it's essential that we elect President Trump so we can do something about it.
Looks like we've got time for just one more question, and that honor goes to Josh, who's joining us. Josh, you're live. Go ahead.
Hi,
sir.
Elon. Hey, what's up?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
So I told the lady that was doing the thing before that it's not really a political question. I personally am voting for Donald Trump because I feel like he's a strong leader, and really for me the criteria is just to have the gas price go down. So I don't hear a lot of talk about people whose lives don't work at all if the gas goes up. But that's my situation. But anyways, I was calling to see how was the pizza that you had with Joe Rogan? Because some people talked to him tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it was a weird pizza, I have to tell you. But
I could tell that you didn't like it. I felt like you didn't like it.
No. Okay, no. Look, it's not going to be top of the list on my types of pizza. I think it was what was it, fish and pineapple or something? It was good. It was actually good. But it was. It's not going to be in my top 5, but it was definitely interesting, and it was a unique experience. Now, Joe Rogan's a friend of mine. He's an awesome human being, phenomenal interviewer. He just finished a long interview with President Trump. Interview is not even that word. It's like in-depth conversation. And knowing Joe, he's going to ask a ton of interesting questions. It's going to be. It's going to be like a real conversation, a real deep conversation. So I'd encourage everyone to watch the Joe Rogan episode that comes out with President Trump that just finished. My understanding is it's going to come out maybe even later tonight, and then definitely send that around to friends and family. So, because I think if you really want to understand someone, you want to just listen to them be in conversation for a few hours and unscripted, no preparation. That's how you get to know someone. That's how you get to know, anyone really. So I think I'm looking forward to that coming out. I'm going to watch it, and I hope everyone else does too.
So, Mr. Musk, as we begin to wind down this event, I would like to give you a few moments to provide us with some closing thoughts, please.
Yeah. So my number one closing thought really is just a request, which is to make sure that you vote early and that you get your friends and family to vote, and you get strangers to vote, and just vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your family's life depends on it, because I think it does. And I've never said that before about any election. I'm saying it about this one because I'm sure it is true. So this is a fork in the road of destiny, and we need to take the right path. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you to everyone for making the time to attend this live town hall with Elon Musk. And as he just was talking about, we encourage you to get out and vote early and get your mail-in ballots returned as well. Thank you again for your time. Have a wonderful evening and a fantastic weekend.